What's going on, everybody? I know it's been a long time since I promised you guys this video, but I keep my promises. I'm a man of my word. Welcome to the Primetime Movie Network. It's Primetime James Thomas coming to another video, and a lot of people want to know my thoughts on this news that came out, I think like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, about Matthew Lillard, Stu Macher coming back for Scream 7. People want to know, oh my God, James, how do you feel about them bringing Stu back after all these years? They're finally bringing him back. And I do have my thoughts on that. It's fascinating news. I've talked about this on the channel before. It's no secret that I don't think it's necessary to bring Stu back at all. I actually like the idea of him remaining dead. And I'll give you my thoughts on that in a second here. Just kind of quick recap on all that. But let's go over here to the news here. Get the news out the way and see what is going live. It was reported by Dead Live. Matthew Lillard, who plays Stu Macher in 1996 Scream movie, is returning for Spyglass Paramount's Scream 7. How is that possible? We will see. Does Stu have a twin? Does it look like it from Lillard's Instagram post? Well, it doesn't look like it from Lillard's Instagram post, which I will say I thought that was fun how he revealed. I thought that was a fun way for him to announce him coming back instead of it just being an announcement. I did like that. But last we saw the horror movie obsessed Stu, he was chasing Neve Campbell's Sydney down 29 years ago. 29? God damn. Attempting to kill her. However, she had the upper hand, dropping a TV on his head. And keep in mind, folks, it wasn't like the TVs we have now. It was one of those big, huge TVs that weighed at least about it felt like 500 pounds. Also, you remember the Billy and Stu began stabbing each other to make themselves look like the victims just moments before Sydney kicked their asses. Scream launched Lillard's career out of a cannon, with the actors continuing on to star in the Scooby-Doo live action franchise, She's All That, The Descendants, and even a key role in a Blumhouse Universal hit, Five Nights at Freddy's. I actually quite like him in a little movie that he did with Josh Hartnett in 2005 and Rose Byrne called Wicker Park. I don't know if you've ever seen Wicker Park, but I quite enjoy that movie as well. So, and then just goes on talks about, blah, 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 blah. We don't know what his role is. But what is his role, though? The internet is speculating like it's nobody's business, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I want to know your thoughts in the chat. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section, of course, how you feel about this news. Because there's a lot of Scream fans that's been asking for this. They've been wanting Stu to come back for 2 decades now. So how do you guys feel about that in the chat or in the comment section? Of course, let me know. Hit that like and subscribe button as well. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, thumbs up button, order a cheeseburger, and all that kind of stuff. So what do I think? Well, it's no secret that I quite enjoy the first Scream. The first Scream is my favorite of the series. I do agree with those that say Scream, at least Scream has yet to have a Freddy's Dead or have a Halloween Resurrection or Jason Goes to Hell. Those movies are considered like the worst movie of the franchise. And Scream is the most consistent horror franchise that's out here. And if Scream 3 is your worst in the franchise, if that's your worst in the franchise, which the general consensus is that is the case, if that is the worst, and I know it's a matter of opinion, but if it is the worst, you're doing pretty good. Even if 5 is the worst, even if you think 6 is the worst, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. So it's not bad. It's not bad. You should have got a good average. I think the thing for me is, and again, I'm not a die-hard Scream fan. I'm just not. But I enjoy the films, and the thing for me though is that the Scream movies just kind of seem like there's the first one, which is the perfect example of what that movie was going to be. You know, like the satirical nature, you know, very 90s. You grew up as a little kid in that era. It's a very nostalgic filled, all the tropes of the slashers. I don't know that movie addresses. It's great. It's perfect. Scream, the first film was just perfect, right? With Scream, yes, who done it? It's beginning, middle, end. Oh, we got all that. It's great. Scream 2, I felt was okay. Scream 3 was okay. Scream 4, my favorite sequel in the franchise. Scream 5, solid. Scream 6, solid. Another Scream movie. I mean, it just doesn't move the needles for me, which isn't a bad thing, but it didn't really move the needle for me. I've wanted the Scream franchise. This is no secret. If you follow me for any length of time, you know this. I've wanted the Scream franchise to take a risk. Not a risk that is, an arbitrary risk or some wild, crazy avant-garde risk, but something that keeps the DNA there, still feels like a Scream movie, looks like a Scream movie, feels like a Scream movie, but something that happens makes you go, oh! And it's no secret that I wanted them to do this for Scream 5, wanted them to do this for Scream 6, which was a cliffhanger hanging, a cliffhanger ending. I wanted a cliffhanger ending. I wanted the Scream 5 and Scream 6 to take a bit of a risk there. Take the movie as a whodunit, beginning, middle, end, though every movie is connected through one big universe. Each movie does end. You know what I mean? Like the killer ends up dying, and it's all wrapped up. You have your Scooby-Doo moment where the killer tells you for 5 minutes why they're so evil, and then they get shot, and then they're dead, right? There's never a cliffhanger that carries over. Like a story that carries over, which is what I wanted for Scream 5. Hell, I think that's what they were going to do with Scream 4. I think they were originally going to do that with Scream 4, where Jill, I think that was her name, Jill was actually going to survive, but then Sydney would have like amnesia for Scream 5, but then as the movie progresses, to regain her memory and all that stuff, and then there's like another ghost face and all that stuff, like that's why I kind of want it for Scream 4, because, again, Scream 4 is my favorite sequel. But anyway. But if Scream 5 or 6 ended with a cliffhanger, like there's this low-angle shot, you see Ghostface wipes the blood off the knife, and you don't know who it is. And then maybe Sarah and, is it Sarah? Sarah and Tara? No. Sam and Tara. They're on the girl like, oh my God, what's going on? Oh my God, it's Ghostface. And they cuts to black. And you're like, whoa, you're not used to that strange, oh my God, they're carrying this over. Who is it? Then you next spend 2 years fighting in fan forums online on these shows. Who do you think it is? I don't know. Who do you think it is? It would have been amazing. They haven't done that. So I think that would have been cool. I thought it would have been really cool. It's something that Scream has never had, a cliffhanger ending. Where you're like, oh my God, who is it? I don't know. You gotta wait 2 years. Have fun debating this in the forums. Maybe they'll do that with 7. I don't know. But they didn't do it with 5. They didn't do it with 6. I'm like, okay. So for me, I don't think Scream 5 or 6 are bad. 5 was very safe. I think it was kind of like The Force Awakens, right? And they needed to do that with 5 because Wes Craven had died, and they needed to Radio Silence needed to prove themselves. Hey, it's okay. We got this. I know Wes is gone, but we're going to deliver a Scream movie that you want to see. And that's what they did. They delivered a Scream movie. They did take a little bit of a risk when they killed off Dewey, right? But it was all right. It was a Scream movie, but it didn't really reinvent the wheel. It was just a Scream movie. 6, all those took place in New York. It was good. It was fun. It was fun. It was a Scream movie. Now, one thing I will say though, maybe because I'm not a big Scream fan here, is that although I love, who doesn't have Campbell, right? One of the greatest final girls of all time. Great Canadian gal, you know. Sorry, I just had a text here. But I love Neve Campbell. Who doesn't love Neve Campbell? But I have to admit, although it was great to see her in 5, I didn't miss her until we saw her, and I gotta admit, I didn't miss her in 6. I thought they did a really good job with the casting and building the story around these new characters. That it felt Sydney's story was completed. I felt good. She's gone. She's married with kids. She's away. Good. I didn't miss her. But here we are. So here we are, and Stu. And I felt the same way about Matthew Lillard. You don't know. You don't know yet. I know. But do you want to take the risk? That's the question, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want to take the risk? Do you want to take that risk? I was just talking with a friend of mine about this, and he was saying to me that he's got some confidence. He doesn't mean the film's going to be good because he's not quite sure how Kevin Williamson's going to be as a director. But as a writer, he feels maybe Williamson is cooking up something pretty cool. You know, bringing back this person, bring back this person. That was originally going to do it 3, but they did do it with 3 because I have to happen with Columbine. And I think maybe this is going to. So he's got some confidence. I'm a little more skeptical than my friend is, but I don't know. I just feel that something's got to give here. Is this going to be another Scream movie? And I don't mean taking avant-garde risks, like let's go do what Jason Goes to Hell did. I mean, there's a big spectrum here. There's delivering the same type of movie over and over again, and then there's leaping over 5,000 sharks and delivering Freddy's Dead. You know what I mean? There's a lot of room in between, folks. A lot of room in between. So I don't think doing something as drastic as that. I mean, like a cliffhanger. That's all I'm asking for. A cliffhanger, right? That might be kind of fun to carry over that for 2 films. But when it comes to that Matthew Lillard, I was okay with him being dead. I think it serves the story better. I think it's better that he's dead because the question now becomes, what is the motivation? Are you bringing him back because you have this great idea and this great story that's going to blow people away and it's going to knock the socks off of people, and Scream fans all over the world are going to be going, oh my God, whoa! Maybe it's Kevin Williamson, right? To Darren's point. Oh, I'm sorry, Darren, but to his point, it is Kevin Williamson. He may be cooking up something with the story, right? He's gonna be let him cook, right? Maybe he's got something great. Maybe. But what is it? What is the motivation? Why are you bringing him back? Are you bringing him back because debacle with Melissa Barea and that whole thing, and then have Campbell? But now she's back, and then we gotta get asked in the scenes because we're worried no one's gonna watch the movie. Is that why you're bringing him back? Then the motivation of the film is narratively okay, or maybe is it because it's, oh my God, I got it. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Well, hang on, let me write this down. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to bring this guy back. But wouldn't you want to left that for a surprise? Wouldn't you have want to not told anybody he was coming back? If it was so, oh my God, wouldn't you want people in the theater to be like, what, lose their shit in the movie theater? Know what I mean? Maybe. Or maybe in a trailer where it's like, who are you? And he comes out of the shadows. Hello, Sydney. And it's Stu. Fans would be going crazy. Guys be running around, chest bumping each other, doing like, that's what you get from these people, right? But you reveal it just now. Maybe if he did it because, okay, there's no way we're gonna keep the lid off this thing. We haven't even started shooting the film yet. Like, the movie doesn't come out for another year. I don't think they've started shooting. They're going to start shooting if they haven't. It's not going to come out in a year. There's no way we're going to keep the lid on this thing. Let's just tell people now. We're not going to tell you, the role. We're not going to tell you what he's going to do or his role, how big, how small, or anything like that. But there's no way we can keep the lid on this. So let's get ahead of this and just reveal it, that it's out there, and we don't have to worry about it, right? We don't have to worry about hiding your face on set. We don't have to worry about, hiding your face over your coat, when you walk on set. Look, they know you're there and it's fine, right? So maybe that's what it is. But what is the role? What do you guys think it is that he's coming back for? I don't know. So let's go over a few scenarios, okay? It's Stu Macher, whatever. He's coming back. It is just exactly at face value, okay? So there's the face value version, which is he's alive. He's always been alive. He's survived the television. And somehow City never knew. And they kept it a secret. And Kevin Williamson has to figure out some brilliant way to justify that he was, it was never leaked, right? It never got out. He survived. And he's been locked up for years. And he's scarred. And he's making his return. Maybe he's been pulling some strings from Guantanamo or Alcatraz. Pull some strings from Alcatraz. Not even in prison anymore, I think. I'd love to go, though. It'd be really cool to visit Alcatraz, though. But he's pulling some strings, right? He's pulling some strings from prison. And he gets out. He escapes. Or he's released on parole or whatsoever. Like, the face value, very linear, very predictable, sort of. Yeah. He's just, oh, it's Stu. Like, oh my God, yay. So there's the face value version. Then there's the, wait, hang on a second. They're also bringing back Scott Foley. So they're bringing back Scott Foley, and there's rumors that they're bringing back Skeet, Ulrich, Billy, and they're bringing back Stu. Okay, hang on a second here. I mean, Stu, even I'm not a big fan of Stu back, and I'm still not. I never have been. But I can see the argument that, well, the television fell on his head, and we technically didn't see him die. I get it, even though that doesn't want to kill anybody. I understand. I get it. Technically didn't see him die. Okay, fine, whatever. Roman got shot in the head. He was shot in the head. So maybe like Billy in Scream 5 and 6, this is going to be more of a psychological scenario, more of a dream flashback. It's not in present day. It's a flashback to a different time. We see all three of them alive, and they do some de-aging and whatever the case may be, right? And that could be the situation here. I'm not saying it is, but that could be the situation here. And I would lean less into that. I would lean less into that idea if they didn't also announce Scott Foley was coming back. So I'm like, okay, if Scott's coming back and Billy's coming back, now is it possible that Roman could still be dead and Stu alive? Yes, of course. We don't know how they're handling it. But I sat back and I thought, well, that's a little interesting. So we have the face value version where he's alive and he's just been locked up and he comes back. You're like, oh, hello, Sydney. Like, and then there's the dream flashback scenario. He's not actually alive. He is dead. They're all dead. And we're seeing it through a flashback. And he's having some bad dreams, premonitions, or I don't know. Something tells her a story. And we do the flashback cut sequence where it's kind of hazy on the outside of the frame. Maybe that's it. So there's that scenario. There's another scenario where I think it's less likely because Melissa Barrera is not in this film. And with 5 and 6, of course, we see that she has her father's very much in her. Now, obviously, Billy's not alive, and Billy's not a Force ghost. He's not actually, but it's psychologically she's seeing and hearing her father. They're illustrating influence that her father has on her. She's heard and told and found out about. They're illustrating that through seeing him, right? And it's a cool way of doing it. It's great for the fans. It's great for Skeet. Obviously, he gets a paycheck. His Scream legacy continues. And that's a cool way to illustrate that for the audience. But he's not literally there. He's not literally a ghost talking to her. It's more of a psychological thing. The show actually that she has deep-seated psychological issues, that she could make that choice to be like her father, which I do like the ending of Scream 6 because she makes the choice not to. She has this mask and she drops on the ground and she walks off in the distance with Tara. So that's really at the end of the day, in my mind, I know Scream fans will argue this because they love Melissa Barrera, and I get it. And of course she could continue, but in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, it's over. Her story's done. Like, she made the choice. She made the choice. If she had taken the mask with her, ooh, that's interesting. Symbolically, for use of cinematic language, that's interesting. What does that mean? I'm not really sure. What does it mean, right? But she drops the mask and walks away. It's very clearly defined to me as an audience member that she's making the choice to leave her father in the past behind. But it's very clear in 5 and 6 that psychologically she could, you know what I mean, right? So now she's out of the picture. Is Sydney gonna have these flashbacks in the same way? Like, that wasn't communicated to us. That's what's happening in Scream 2 or 3, or as far as I know, unless somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't seen him in a while, but I don't think. I don't recall her having these issues. So it might feel a little out of place, a little forced if all of a sudden she is having these issues, unless there's what is the reason for it. Guilt, grief over, I was about to say Stewie, or Dewey's death, or whatever the case may be. Maybe a lot of things she's going through, and she begins to have these flashbacks, or as if they're talking to. But would they repeat those narrative beats with Sydney when they've already had with Melissa? It made sense. Totally made sense because of who she was to Billy's character. It doesn't quite make sense that Sydney, despite the fact she's been through hell, Sydney would have those same psychological force ghosts. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not, but Obi-Wan Kenobi talking to. It just feels a little forced, no pun intended. So I don't think that would be it. I don't think they would utilize Stu in the same ways they utilize Billy, or utilize all three of them the same ways they utilized Billy in 5 and 6. However, maybe she is. But at the same time, I don't rule out completely, because maybe there is, because of some sort of guilt or grief or unfinished business. Maybe she's been having these. Maybe we don't know. I mean, that's easy to do. And writing is to deliver us a scenario and a situation where these things have always been happening. We just didn't know. We just weren't. That just wasn't communicated to us in 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. She's always been having these dreams. She's always been having these regression dreams, what they're called. When you have a dream about high school or dream about college, it's called the regression dream. And usually you have regression dreams because of some sort of unfinished business that you feels unfinished, or there's some sort of connection to the past, longing for something. There's a lot of different ways you could psychoanalyze it. So it's possible that Nev could be. We now find out in Scream 7 that, she's always had these things. And maybe it's news to her husband. Right? It'll be news to us. Like, oh, shit. Now you go back to watch Scream 2, 3, 4, 5, and you realize that even though they don't tell us that in this movie, she is having those type of things. Or more so now than maybe then, because usually you have regression dreams. They're called regression dreams because you lived enough life where when you dream about that time, it is regressing. Like, if you're dreaming about college and high school while you're in college and high school, it's not a regression dream. You're not regressing. You're regressing. That's current. You know, there's lots of different reasons why that will be happening. But if you're having a regression dream about things in your past and trauma and all that kind of stuff in a certain time in your life when you're in your 40s and 50s, there's clearly something happening there. So that could be something that they could introduce. as I think more about it, that could be something that could be introduced, and that would be the catalyst in a way to get Stu flashback, not really alive, and maybe we see scenarios with Stu and Billy that we've never seen before. We see them in 1990, 96. We see them in 95 or 94. They do de-aging on them, and then we see them as two buddies hanging out that we never, clearly they were best friends. Clearly, Scream in 1996, that was the ending of their journey. That was the end of their story. But clearly there was a story way before that. So what is that story? And maybe through some flashbacks, we see bits and pieces. Maybe through some flashbacks, we see things like that. That I feel there's a lot of fans that are leaning towards that scenario, more so the flashback kind of situation, whether that's sort of kind of like trauma-based, regression-based, or like there's a trauma and regression-based flashback through dreams, but then there's also the narrative of flashback, which is just simply the movie just suddenly decides to illustrate and show you something important through the usage of flashback. Nothing to do with her having dreams or anything like that. They just take, okay, we're going to take 2 minutes here and show you a flashback to 1995. It could be that too. And I think a lot of fans are tending to lean more into that kind of thing at the moment. Obviously, we don't know a lot of information when new information comes out. If it comes out before the movie comes out and the trailer, obviously that'll give us a better sense of what's going on. But if you were to ask me at face value, at the moment leaning more into the flashback side of things. But it is true, it is Kevin Williamson, and maybe he's figured out a really ingenious way to bring Stu back, to literally bring him back. He's not dead. He survived the television falling on his head. And he's figured out an ingenious way that feels properly motivated, doesn't feel forced, doesn't feel contrived, and no point watching the movie are we all going to go, oh, come on, I guess, okay. You know what I mean? Because you don't want that. You do not want that. And that's why I ask fans, there's a lot of Scream fans, and this is wonderful, but at the end of the day, is it worth the risk? Maybe it is with Kevin Williamson. Maybe it is. Because he's one of the guys that created the franchise, right? So maybe it is worth the risk. But the last thing you want, the last thing any Scream fans want, because a lot of fans, I've really been campaigning for this, and the last thing you want is suddenly the movie to play out and all of a sudden you have your expectations through the stratosphere and it's nothing but a 30-second flashback. And you're going to be really disappointed. You're going to be really disappointed. And the thing is, you can't get mad at the filmmakers, can't get mad at Scream 7. They didn't promise you a goddamn thing. They promised you that Stu was back. Well, he's back. What's a 30-second flashback? But they didn't say it wasn't going to be. You got yourself all riled up. And you go to watch the movie and you realize it's 30 seconds. It's a 30-second flashback to 1995, and that's it. Maybe it's a voiceover. Oh, please don't let it be a voiceover. I'm sure it's more than that. So the point I'm making is that try to temper your expectations. Think about it realistically. Try not to get too excited about this because we really don't know how Kevin Williamson will want to use Stu. I just hope is that whatever it is that is properly motivated, it makes sense. Not just oh, that makes sense. Him surviving, coming back years later, you can make that make sense. But I mean something that Kevin Williamson will make you go, ooh, maybe it's something. Maybe he's just going to recycle the idea that he was going to use for Scream 3 and use it in Scream 7. Maybe it's just going to be as simple as that, right? Because the original idea for Scream 3 was Stu has survived. So maybe he just now, instead of having it happen a few years later, he's now taking that, making some adjustments, and now it's going to happen 30 years later. And so he's going to tweak it a little bit to make it make more sense to 30 years instead of 5 years, whatever it was back then. Maybe that's it. Maybe we talk about this, dissecting it, and get. No, I think it's going to be this. I think it's going to be that. Like we normally always do, we just talk about it, discuss it, or maybe something as simple as that. No, we did. I just took the Scream 3 idea and just kind of just revamped it a little bit to make it fit this story, and that's all it is. So he is really alive, and he's been away for a while. He comes back, and maybe that's it. Maybe it's not going to be some big reveal or some. Maybe Stu be all over the trailer. I don't know. Folks. I really don't know. But there's a few different ways you go about it. Personally, for me, I would have left them dead. That's just me. But I am very curious to see what they are going to do with the character, how they're going to utilize him, whether or not he's going to be alive, or whether we're going to see him through a regression dream of some sort, or a flashback, or, I don't know. But folks, let me know you guys' thoughts, how you feel about what you think, how you think about the news about Matthew Lillard coming back, that Scott Foley's coming back. I mean, imagine if they announced Laurie Metcalf coming back. Now you're like, okay, now we really have no choice but to make this a flashback situation because Mrs. Loomis died. Scott Foley died. Stu appeared to have died. Like this got to be some. What is the fucking Avengers of Scream serial killers coming back to kill City? That'd be ridiculous. But let me know guys' thoughts. Hit that like and subscribe button. How you feel about Stu coming back? How you feel like they're gonna handle the Stu's return? And hit the like and subscribe button. And I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.